Welcome to Focus on Seniors, a television show sponsored by Helping Seniors of Brevard County, Florida. The show is designed to make you aware of senior issues, needs, and resources available to help us age in place and with dignity. This show will help you as you develop your own aging and care plan. Now, here is your host, Joe Steckler.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Focus on Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is physical therapy. And with me in the studio is Elba Torres-Ramirez, physical therapist at HealthSouth Sea Pines Rehabilitation Hospital. Hi, Napoleon. How you doing?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. That's because of the island of Elba, right?
Yeah, but that's right. Folks, the reason I call her Napoleon is because they incarcerated Napoleon on the island of Elba after they decided to put him away for good. And Napoleon was a pretty hard taskmaster. So was this Elba. She is a taskmaster. And she was my therapist when I came here from Wistow after my stroke. And you've been here for 27 years.
That's
Elba.
right.
And I think it takes special people to be therapists. I've met all kinds of therapists. I've never met a bad one, but I've met some that are extremely good, and I met some that are more gooder than other ones. And you're one of the more gooder ones.
Oh, thank you.
And but I attribute my recovery from my stroke to the degree that it is today. And my stroke happened to me less than 3 months ago. And but I got started here at HealthSouth Sea Pines after my Wistow stay. But I think that all parts of therapy are extremely important in a patient's recovery. But I had Dr. LeBron on, and he talked about the speech therapy, the occupational therapy. But if I had to put my own personal finger on one part of the therapeutic program, I would say that for a patient recovering from a fall or from a stroke, that the physical therapy is the guts of the recovery program. Do you agree?
Well, I'm not supposed to say that we're the primary ones. I think it takes a team
You're
effort.
right. No, you're right.
Yes.
And I shouldn't have. I really didn't mean to put you on the spot. But having said that about physical therapy, you challenged me here with the strength portion of my recovery, but at the same time, you did what my home therapist did, and that's challenged me on the balance part of my recovery. And I think that too many people that talk about therapy sessions don't understand the importance of the balance system, especially as we grow older. Mm-hmm. And as a therapist, what does a physical therapist, what do you do? What are some of your challenges, Elba, working here at HealthSouth Sea Pines?
Well, specifically with stroke victims, first we do an evaluation. We check their strengths, their range of motion, their mobility ability, their balance, and their endurance. And according to that specific evaluation, we design a program to assist the patient achieve their goals. We work mainly in terms of strength in the lower extremities, in the legs. We can work with the arms, but occupational therapist works with the arms, so we don't want to step over one another. So we have decided to mainly work on the lower extremities and occupational therapy in building up the strength of the upper extremities, the arms. We also work in their ability to move functionally, for example, in bed. Roll side to side, come up to sitting, lie down, transfer from the bed to the chair, and vice versa. Walk on level surfaces and on uneven surfaces, negotiating stairs. Then we also have to work on balance. It depends. It can be either sitting balance or standing balance. For example, your sitting balance was excellent from admission, so we mainly had to concentrate on your standing balance. And finally, we also work on endurance. Patients tend to be kind of weak and tired after a stroke, so we also help them on activities and machines to work on their endurance, to build up their endurance so they don't get so tired.
You mentioned machines because you knew and remembered I did not like that one machine you put me on that would have my arms going like this, my legs going like this. I hated that thing.
Yeah.
And I've had that hit me with the different rehab programs, put me on that machine. I just
You don't like it?
Nope, I don't like it. But it's good for you.
It is. It is
And-
because it also builds up your cardiovascular endurance.
Yeah, and that's an extremely important part that you bring out in physical rehab, Elba, is that many people do not understand the importance of the total body system and the ability of the legs, the arms, or your
core.
muscle, yeah, to do what it's designed to do. My home therapist kept talking to me about the core muscle strength. What do we mean by core muscle strength? Tell our viewers what are those muscles?
Those are mainly the abdominal muscles. You have the rectus, abdominis. I don't want to get too technical.
No, go ahead.
But some of them, it's like the muscles that are straight in front of you, the abdominals, but we also have oblique abdominals. We also have lateral abdominals, and then all of them go around your trunk and help you with maintaining a good posture and your balance.
Yeah, you're making me sit up straighter.
For example, to go from lying down to coming up to sitting, you need some core strengthening to help you come up to a sitting position, like a sit-up type of activity. Rolling over side to side, it takes some core strengthening as well. And when you walk, you also need to have some core strengthening or trunk strengthening in order to maintain your posture.
Stand up straight.
Stand up straight, exactly.
And how many times you tell me to stand up when I was? Yeah.
That's right. You also have the back musculature too that needs to be strengthened to maintain a good posture. Yes.
And when you would have me on that bar thing that's got
in the parallel bars?
The parallel bars, yeah, and you'd have me stand there, and you would get in front of me, and you'd take that ball, and you'd bounce that ball and have me catch it, and then you would throw the ball to the side, so I would have to go either right or left to get the ball. All that time, what you were doing is you're working on these core muscles.
Core muscles and your balance reactions too. Reaching to the side just in case, so you can react. If you're going to lose your balance, you can react to come to a neutral position. So that's core strengthening, but also working on your postural reactions, riding reactions.
Yeah. I hate to admit it, but I have to admit it, that since I've left Sea-Pines, I found that if I stand, the straighter I stand, the more erect I try to stand, it takes some of the pressure off of my lower back so they can stand up and shave and not be all bent over.
That's right.
When I first came to Sea-Pines from Gustav, I was a mess, wasn't I?
You needed help with all your mobility, your bed mobility, transfers, walking. Your balance was not very good. I had to hold you when you were walking with a walker.
Yeah, mildly speaking, I was a mess, yes. But it's in 3 months, I have made a lot of progress. And I asked Dr. LeBron a question this morning. I said, have you ever had anybody come to Sea Pines that you couldn't help? He said, we are always able to help in some way. Mm-hmm. And I kind of likened that to the fact that we pray, and God always hears our prayers, but he doesn't exactly hear our prayers in a way we want them to be heard. And I think the same thing can be said for rehabilitation. We might want to walk in a mess and walk out completely restored, but that doesn't always happen. But Dr. LeBron put it in terms that I think that a lay person can understand. He said that we're able to do something for somebody to help them feel that they've achieved or accomplished something here in a rehabilitation hospital. And quite often that's what makes a rehabilitation hospital different from a rehabilitation facility.
Or a skilled nursing facility.
Yes.
Or a nursing home with a rehab section.
Yeah. You really bring a team approach here. But some specific things that, you put me through a bunch of exercises before I left Sea Pines, and we filmed them to put them into a stroke show. But as we talk about some of these things, they will backfit some of those things into this show and into this stroke series. But I wrote down, I said, show exercises that are basic building blocks, that build strength, that improve standing balance, and that build leg strength, and in reality, help you relearn to walk.
Yes.
But what are some of the basic building blocks that you've been able to develop as a therapist to try to help people learn when they're recovering from a stroke or from hip surgery?
They're hard to describe if I don't demonstrate, but I can have you perhaps at this section show the exercises that you did on the mat or in standing. For example, we start slowly at the beginning with exercises on the mat, many times eliminating gravity, like moving your leg out to the side and in while lying down on your back, sliding the leg up and down, placing a bolster underneath your knees and kicking the leg up, moving your ankles up and down, bridging your bottom. And as the patient gains strength, we progress them to sitting exercises against gravity, straightening the knees, moving the hips up like in marching, then standing exercises like you did in the parallel bars. And those are the most aggressive. They all work on all the muscles of your legs. Like when you march, you work on your hip flexors. When you move the leg out to the side, you work on the abductors, the muscles that move the leg out to the side. When you move the leg back, that's for the gluteus maximus muscle, when you move the leg back. When you do the squat, you would be working on your quadriceps. When you bend the knee, that's for the hamstrings. When you raise up on your tippy toes, that's for the calf muscles. So each exercise is geared towards strengthening. First, like I said, gravity eliminated, then against gravity, and resistive exercises with weights. You remember using some weights around your ankles because it is important. But we also not only work on strengthening, we also incorporated on function, like your ability to stand up, your ability to walk, your ability to go up and down stairs and walk on uneven surfaces.
Yep. And one of the things that you stressed in my early recovery was the fact that I needed to do these things safely.
Yes.
And that there are ways that you can use a cane correctly. There are ways that you can go up and down stairs that are smarter, that will let you accomplish the same thing, but you don't have to strain the muscles in each leg in order to put all the weight on one leg at a time. You can do it smarter. And that's one of the things that you taught me here is how to do these things smarter. I tell you honestly, though, that of all the exercises that I've done here and everything in home therapy, my knees are what still hurt me the most.
Yes. Is it because of your arthritis?
I think it's probably it. Yeah, it's the arthritis. It takes a long time to work through arthritis. And I keep forgetting this, I had a condition called fibromyalgia, which is an arthritic condition too, but they don't really know what causes it, and there's no cure for it. There's no real treatment for it. It's just something that's sort of a blessing of getting older. We call it a blessing.
That's part
But,
of it.
you know, I have found there's a definite correlation to what you all have me do here at C-Pines and what they have me do in home therapy. Because most of the home therapy exercises could be conducted in a chair where I did leg extensions and marching with the weights, and I did a lot of arm exercise with weights and the punching exercises like I did in occupational therapy. But then we went into the kitchen area, and the therapist would have me between the counter and the island where I sort of for a safety factor, and she'd have me walking sideways and then walking backwards and then crossing my legs over, and then taking 4 tile patterns and putting a cane in my hand and having me step more rapidly from side to side, front to back, and it's sort of causing me to move myself, which is the same thing that you started with the physical therapy building blocks, then they went to the in-home therapy building blocks.
We were doing some coordination activities like sidestepping or braiding, moving one leg in front of the other, or walking backwards, because sometimes we just don't move straight forward. Sometimes we take side steps or we move back a little bit. So we have to work on all those things, coordination as well as standing balance.
Right, but that's where the balance part became more pronounced.
Yes.
My need to be able to move on a piece of foam rubber and you put me on a piece of foam rubber that was about that thick.
Yes.
And then you told me to stand there and you bounced that ball to me, and I had to get that ball and at the same time not fall over on my cane.
Maintain your balance.
Yeah, maintain my balance. And it wasn't easy.
Yes, they're not easy.
And then you would take that ball and you bounce it this way or bounce it that way. But then the home therapist, what she did the same thing, but then she would cause me to shut my eyes and I'd lose my frame of reference.
Yes.
And she would increase the degree of difficulty by making me put my feet together closer and closing my eyes and moving the ball. And then she would take and she'd push on me or pull on me or push me different ways to test my reflex and my balance.
Yes.
Which all goes back to the leg strength.
That's right. Yeah, she challenged you more because you were already home and you were getting ready to walk without the walker and walk with a cane. So you needed more balance activities then.
Yeah. And
so she did the right thing.
Yes. And I find, Elba, that at times I'll walk without my cane and my wife will remind me that to take my cane.
Yes.
I find that if I'm in a certain area and I'm going to do something, and I can be standing, that I'll make sure that a counter is close to me, or if I lose my balance, that I'm not going to fall. I think one of the things that a person needs to learn in rehabilitation is what are your own limitations? What has the therapist trained you or encouraged you to do that you can continue to do after you're out of therapy to protect yourself?
Yes.
And what are some of the challenges or some of the things that Elba Ramirez tries to help her clients understand? What do you do?
We emphasize safety a lot, especially if a patient lives alone. We even recommend that they have some type of system, the lifeline. I don't want to do any advertising, but something that if the patient falls, they can press a button and then someone will come to the rescue. It is very, I have had patients, unfortunately, that have remained at home for hours or days when no one came to the rescue because they didn't have a way, they couldn't crawl to the phone, or they didn't have anybody else in the house to come and see them. It's really sad. So that's one of the things if the patient does not live alone. Other things in the house, for example, to prevent falls, they are for, not to use throw rocks because the patients can trip over. Avoid extension cords, or if they have to have extension cords, to tape them by the edge of the wall and the floor. If they are going to take a shower, to sit in a shower chair because it requires balance to stand and shower, and sometimes you have to lift one leg. To get in and out of the shower, to have grab bars. That's another thing that helps.
I did find out that once I got home, we had already had grab bars installed in the shower. In my case, it was actually easier for me to hold on with one hand and wash myself standing up than it was sitting.
Okay.
And I as long as I always have one hand on the grab bar because I'm worried about the slippery surface. I fell one time in a tub.
Yes, you can also have one of those rubber mats on the floor to prevent slipping, and a shower, a handheld shower. That helps too, that you can use to hose yourself with the water.
Yep. When the therapist here gave me a shower, I asked her to let me have the shower. I think she said, "Oh, no." I said, "Why?" She says, "I've gotten wet enough." And I said, "I won't get you wet." And, she dressed me and gave me, darn if I didn't get her wet. I turned that thing the wrong way and got her.
Yeah.
And she laughed about it. But, living life and going through a stroke or experiencing a fall, we've got a friend of ours now, an elderly lady that did fall. She's in a rehab facility now, not here. And I'm going to go see her. But I just hate to do it because I suspect this lady was a very careful lady. We can do all we think we can do to protect ourselves, but we can still have an accident.
Yes, accidents happen.
Yes.
That's right.
But
And the patients feel so bad. They feel, sometimes they say, "I was so stupid," and it's not stupidity. It's an accident. They fall, and unfortunately it happens, but most of them recover, thank God. And I tend to tell them, this is nothing terminal. This is the worst that it's going to be. You're going to get better from now on. Sometimes they feel like it's the end of the world, but it's not something, it is something that has an ending. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. They're going to be able to walk normally again. And it's wonderful to see them later come back on their own 2 feet, no cane, no walker, doing really well.
I'll probably always use a cane because
Yeah, for safety.
for
Absolutely.
safety. My occupational therapist wasn't able to do a show, but I very vividly remember her showing us safety on the occupational therapy side, where she took something out of a microwave oven, and instead of taking it out of the oven, turning around and walking to the other side of the kitchen, what she did, she took it out of the oven, set it down the counter, and turned and moved it on one part of the counter and moved it around the kitchen
That's right.
safely.
Exactly.
And what are some of the things that you would tell people to be careful about as affects their ability to move safely as they get older?
Well, like I said, home safety, things that, like I mentioned a little while ago about avoiding throw rugs, extension cords, having a cordless phone that they can sometimes put in their pocket if they live alone, have some kind
The
of
lifeline
device,
thing
a
is,
lifeline.
there's nothing, it's not everyday. That's a good safety
My
thing.
mom has one, yeah.
That's good. That's a good
She
thing.
lives alone and it's important. But I think in terms of prevention of a stroke, people need to take care of their health. If you have high blood pressure, take your blood pressure medication. If you have diabetes, take your diabetes medication. If you're obese, try to eat healthier, because at any age, those factors it can be inherited too. If you have a family history of stroke, it can happen to you.
Yes.
But I cannot emphasize enough, if you have any symptoms of having a stroke, to call immediately 911. Sometimes I think patients are a little bit reluctant. They don't want to bother a neighbor, or they don't want to bother 911. No, call 911 right away. As soon as they feel weakness on one side, difficulty with their speech, dizziness, difficulty walking, inability to get out of the bed, visual problems, all those things, a droopy face, mouth, all those things, they need to call right away 911. It is an emergency. A stroke is an emergency.
We used our 28 and a half minutes. Thank you,
Okay.
and I enjoyed it very much. And I want to thank you, viewer, for watching today's episode of Focus on Seniors. If you have questions or comments, please call us at area code 321-473-7770. For more information on senior care and resources, visit our website at helpingseniors.brevard.com. Be sure to listen to Focus on Seniors on radio station 1300 WMEL AM every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And also look for us in your Florida Today newspaper health section every Thursday for our Focus on Seniors column. I'm Joe Steckler, and thank you for joining us today for Focus on Seniors, and thank you, Napoleon, for being
You're
here.
welcome.